Hello and welcome to Vitality Women Leading Audaciously. Today, our guest is Tara Clark, founder of Modern Mom Probs. I love it because we've got a lot of them. So many demands on us these days. And it's like a tug of war at times. At least that's what it feels like. So, Tara, tell us about how you developed this company. I mean, I imagine because you're a mom, but you'll tell us, and how you came to it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll backtrack even further than how I started Modern Mom Probs. I originally had worked at Nickelodeon in the social media department and digital marketing. And I was there for several years. While I was there, I was Dora the Explorer on Facebook. And my mom used to joke and run around and tell people, oh, my daughter's Dora the Explorer. And I was like, no, mommy, like I'm Dora the Explorer, like on Facebook. I'm not actually Dora the Explorer. But it was a very proud mom moment of her that she would always tell everyone that. So I was at Nickelodeon and then I got pregnant with my son, and we had such a long, challenging road in getting pregnant and staying pregnant. And so when my son was born, I was faced with this dilemma of, do I stay home with him or do I continue working full time? And so I had asked my boss at Nickelodeon if I could go part time, and she said no. And I said, okay, well, it was all or nothing. And I said, okay, that's nothing. And I'm going to stay home with him and it's going to be everything. So I stayed home with my son for 3 years. And when he was about 3, I was looking to have a creative outlet. You know, we were in the trenches of toddlerhood and tantrums and all of that kind of stuff. And I said, I would really love to create an Instagram account for moms. And this was early in the Instagram time. So it was 2016. It was early 2016. And I mentioned this to my friends and family, and they're like, that's crazy. What are you talking about? What do you mean, like, start an Instagram account for moms? And I was like, no. It's like, I'm going to make jokes and it'll be good. It'll be good. I promise. And everyone's like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Cause like that really didn't sort of exist at that point. And so I started the account. I actually started it under a name of NYC Mom Problems because I was joking about living in New York City and the problems that we have in New York City are different from problems that we have in the suburbs. And so then I ended up moving to the suburbs. And then I realized I didn't have New York City mom problems anymore. I had different mom problems. I was a suburban mom at that point. And so I changed the name to Modern Mom Problems or Modern Mom Probs, and the account just took off from there. And so I was very fortunate with that. And as the account grew and as time went on, I changed the problems sort of. I didn't change the problems, but they sort of evolved, whereas it started more of like very tongue-in-cheek, first world kind of problems, making fun of laundry and going to Target and that sort of thing. And then it evolved more into real things like pregnancy loss, infertility, maternal mental health, depression, wellness, fitness, all of those things, the mental load of motherhood, all of those things that we face now. And so the account really evolved from there. And I'm so lucky to have the community that we do and to have the platform that we have now to be able to talk about those harder topics, things that frankly, weren't discussed publicly 10 years ago when my son was born.
Yeah, no, I totally can relate to that. And my daughter was born in 2005 and we lived in this little village in Switzerland. And it was really an odd situation for me. Of course, I had no idea what I was doing. I only have one child. It was my first child. And it was really strange to just try to troubleshoot. I mean, I figured out how to do it, right? We all figure it out, but there really isn't the guidebook, and having a community at that time would have been helpful. My mom actually died within 5 months of my daughter's birth, which was,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too. It was shocking though. And so like, I can imagine how valuable your community is. And I just love how you just decided to go and start the conversation. You're like, hey, this is real. And I can't be alone.
That was it. And the thing too, it really is like, so before my son was born, I mentioned that we had struggled with some infertility and miscarriage. I had 3 miscarriages, didn't tell any of my family. I told some friends, some of my very closest friends, but my husband and I felt very, very alone in our miscarriage journey. And then
Mhm.
We had like inexplicable infertility after the miscarriages. We just felt so, so alone in that. And we made a promise to each other that if we were able to have a child and it was healthy, that's the only thing we ever ask for. We'll never ask for anything ever
Oh,
again
that's
because
really
we will
tender.
feel so blessed. And
Right.
Jack was born in November of 2012, and then we've never asked for anything ever again. And so we never had any
Oh,
other children, and that was it. That's all he
Jack's
was all we
health.
wanted.
Come on.
Jack's health was all that we ever
Jack's
wanted.
happiness.
And that was it. That was the
Right.
one thing. And so we never wanted to rock the boat. And so now we could have those conversations, because 10 years ago, when I was suffering from this, that's not what social media was talking about. Social media was talking about, like, I don't know, checking in at work or taking a picture of a turkey sandwich or something like that. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't the conversations that we're having now. And I'm so glad that we're
True.
able to have these
Yeah.
very authentic, raw, honest conversations. And so
Yeah.
that's where I, contribute my own personal story and then share stories of other people who have gone through it. And
Mm,
and so
yeah.
we're lucky to be able to do so.
Yeah. Miscarriage and fertility are huge. I too had miscarriage problems, not so much fertility problems, but miscarriage problems for sure. It's
It was
intense.
it's very intense. And the thing that was so strange to us was that, I mean, not that we're going off on a tangent about miscarriage, but I had 3 miscarriages. Each time I got pregnant, as the first time we tried,
Mm.
pregnant, like tried, pregnant, tried, pregnant, tried, pregnant 3 times, boom, boom, boom. And then somehow after those, we couldn't get pregnant no matter what we did. So that's what I'm saying. It was like inexplicable.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I found out that I had like polyps, had those removed. And then we had like
Wow.
3 IUIs. And then finally on like the
Wow.
last IUI, it worked with Jack. And so it
Wow.
was just a very long, several year journey to get to where we are. But my best friend often reminds me now, in hindsight, she said, Tara, like, at least now you're able, like, that experience you're able to share with other people, and then they could seek solace from that. And if that never happened, that if you never had Jack, you never would have
Right.
started Modern Mom
Totally.
Probs.
I love
And
that.
so sometimes, it was very kind of her to say that, and it's true. She's right. So sometimes when you're going through it, it seems like it's never ending, and it's just like an
Yeah.
ocean of sadness.
Yeah. Then how do you trust yourself? How do you trust your body? Is
Mhm.
it meant to be? Like, your whole, existential, everything comes into question for sure. Your
Yes.
existence, really. Why are you even here?
Yes, yes.
Like,
Why can other people get pregnant like at the drop of a
I have
hat
so
and
many
keep the baby?
friends.
There's just so
Yeah,
many
it's
things.
it's so hard. But that's why we have each other, and we're not alone. And you're helping
Hmm.
us to see that every day. And you're
Hmm.
a mom and a wife. A wife.
Hmm.
How many years have you been married? You say?
We've been married for 16 years and we've been together for nearly 30. My husband and I have been together since high school.
I have like a secret admiration. Maybe not so secret because I'm talking about it, but like I do. I think it's like so special to be married or in a relationship that's committed for 30 years. It's really, and by the way, for those of you who can't see her, she's like young and vibrant and glowing and bright.
Thank you.
So like, this is not like someone, in there, you don't look like you've been married for 30 years, just to say that.
Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate that. We started dating when we were 15, and we'll both be 42 in March. So yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting. So I am curious though. What do you think are the components of a long-term relationship like the one you have?
A lot of respect. We respect each other's time. We respect each other's opinion on things. We are best friends, and we've been best friends for years. Before we were married, we were in a pre-Cana class, which is like it's like a pre-marriage class that we had with our church. And we had to go, and there was an older couple who sat down with us, and they were probably in their late 70s, early 80s. And they said, we only have one bit of advice to give you. And we said, okay. And they said, lower your expectations of each other, of your performance in marriage, of whether you'll have children, whether you have your own biological children.
Mm.
Just pull back on expecting too much that could potentially damage your relationship in a way where it's not meeting the expectations. And it's not to say don't have high standards. because they're two different things. My
They
husband and I
are.
have very high standards. My husband he's a physician. He's a very, he's top of the game at what he does. He's very well respected in his field. So it's not that we don't have high standards in what we do. It's just that sometimes the expectations not meeting reality is where people can get disappointed in relationships. And it's
Completely.
not just, romantic relationships, but really friendship, any kind of
Being a parent
relationship.
as well. I mean,
Yeah.
parenting as well. But I think what you're saying is really, really valuable, because I speak to so many men these days who feel emasculated constantly by
Mm,
the expectations of their spouse. And it's really unfortunate. And I don't think that women mean to do it.
mm,
But I think that it's a very big problem, because they're so unhappy. Their expectations aren't being met. They're
mhm.
disappointed all the time, and they're letting their husbands know about it. And it's tough. I mean, it's really, really tough, because then you just have this bottomed out self-esteem, and it's really,
Mhm.
yeah. So I love what you said. Respect each other's opinions, respect each other's time, respect, and let
Mhm.
go of these expectations while maintaining high standards that are,
Mhm.
sounds like, also maybe mutually agreed on.
Yes, well, that's absolutely true, right? Like I can't have a certain set of standards, and his standards are, different in a different tier. And if they don't meet, then you're not necessarily playing the same game, are you?
Mm-mm,
Yeah.
no, yeah, really valid. I mean, that's not usually a question I ask, but I have this really deep, deep respect for this long-term relationship. And I hope one day I can say I've been married for 30 years, even though I'm, a lot older.
You will, you will, you will. Well, we haven't been married 30 years yet, but we will at some point.
Well, you know what I mean. It's just
Yes,
so
and you
beautiful.
will. You absolutely will. And then maybe someday you'll be giving the advice to the younger couples
Maybe.
who are getting married, and you say, "This is the one piece of advice that we're going to give you."
I've got so much stuff figured out. I really do. But like, this relationship thing just always seems to like fascinate me. I mean, it's not like we have good examples. I mean, I didn't have very good examples
I
for,
didn't either. My parents were
yeah.
divorced when I was 2, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't have
So,
any examples
yeah.
there.
So, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of good examples. So when you don't have good examples outside of like Disney and sitcoms, growing
Hmm.
up, it's like,
Hmm.
where do you go? And then, life just happens. Speaking of life happening, so you're a
Yes.
wife, you're a mom, and you own your own business that has
Yes.
many faces to it. I'm understanding more and more. And how do you balance it all? If balance is even a realistic word to use, but how do you kind of, what are some hacks or tips or tools that you use to find your balance?
Yeah, absolutely. I often will tell people, let's like smash that concept of balance, and let's
Right.
replace it with the concept of effectiveness. And this is
Yeah.
what I
I like
say.
that.
So this is what I sort of manifest is that, have I been an effective mother today? And only I know what that really means, right? Like your effectiveness as a mother may be different from mine, but have I been an effective mother today? Have I been an effective business owner or employee? Have I been an effective spouse? Have I been an effective daughter? Did I call my mom? Did I check in
Mhm.
on her? Different things like that. And so, whatever is on your list for effectiveness, pursue those things. And then that's sort of like your own mental checklist. Not all of those things may get done in the same day, right? I may not be an effective daughter the same day that I'm an effective entrepreneur, right? Those may not necessarily happen at the same time, but you know what your priorities are, and you know how to hit certain metrics. Like I said, whether it's calling your father, or whether it's, calling that one girlfriend who you haven't heard from in a while, and you're like, gosh, I hope she's okay, I haven't heard from her. Then you're being an effective friend, right? So try to smash that concept of balance, because it is so hard to, and I'm using air quotes here, truly balance things, right? Like just as you get one thing balanced and something else gets thrown out of whack. And so if we're not balancing on the balance beam, so to speak, at least then we could strive for being effective in those different aspects of our life.
Yeah, I love how you said that about effectiveness. And I think those priorities have to be aligned with our values.
Yes.
For me, I value family
Mm-hmm.
deeply, and I also value my work,
Mm-hmm.
and I value my romantic relationship. And sometimes the order of priorities can be a challenge, where most people's health, for example, is bottom on a list, but their families are
Yes.
first, but they're
Mm-hmm.
struggling with their work, and their relationship is not really doing that well. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually believe, and this is actually kind of up for debate, right? But I actually believe that the ideal order of priorities is like health first. And a lot of people are like, what? Yeah, health first, and then
Mhm.
work, because I have to, I'm the sole care provider for my family,
Mhm.
and then my relationship, and then my children, which a lot of people say that's insane. Like children should come above your relationship. But actually, with the intention that I have a long-term relationship, I want my relationship, my life is for the rest of my life. The kids are going to
Mhm.
go.
Mhm.
So I think that it's really important that we look at what we're actually prioritizing versus what we want to prioritize to have more ease and more alignment with our values.
Yes, I think that's so beautifully said. I agree 1,000%. It is
Mhm.
absolutely true because one, without health, you can't do those other things, right? Like you can't work, you can't take care of your family, you can't have a romantic relationship if you're not prioritizing your health, or if God forbid that you weren't well. So I think that is so, so important.
What are
And
the oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say, I think it starts to get confusing for people when the things do blend together too much, where that you're not setting like clear boundaries and clear priorities for those.
So challenging especially when you're like a giver, which I think a lot of us
Hmm.
are. I think a super mom, a type A mom, like, moms who are in action or tend to be serious givers.
Yes, that's what it is, and I think that sort of propels us to where we are right now. But then
Yeah,
also at the
for
same
sure.
time, it is can be challenging.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what are some of the, like, I know this is probably going to be challenging to summarize, but like if you had like to say what some of the top problems are for moms, just generally speaking, regardless of age per se, like what would you say are some of the things that rise to the surface again and
Yeah,
again?
and they've been rising faster and faster, I think, in the last 2 years with the pandemic. Is one, the mental load of motherhood. That could be an entire conversation all by itself, right? We're constantly thinking, oh, did I pack that thing in the backpack for school? Oh, I need to pick this up at the dry cleaner. All those little things that end up being very big things.
Mm,
So one is definitely the mental load of motherhood. Another one is loneliness. For as
oh,
connected as we are,
mm-hmm.
especially for new moms, it's a little bit different for moms who are more veteran moms. Their children are in school. We have the
Right.
community of the other, class moms or different things. But for new
Mm-hmm.
moms, there's a lot of loneliness. And then with the pandemic, especially last year, there was a lot of isolation that moms were having a hard time. So those are two things that I can think of off the top of my head.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously health is a big one, and maternal mental health is a big one. And that is sort of intertwined with
Mm-hmm.
the loneliness and the mental load.
Totally. Well, thank goodness for your platform. Um,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that, yes, I'm glad that we're able to like offer resources, because that's the thing is too, is like I don't have all of the answers, right? But how can I get the answers? Well, then I could find the right resources to direct people to go read this book, go chat with this
yeah.
therapist, all the different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. I love it. It's fantastic. But you also have this birth of a box, clothes,
Mm.
right? So tell us more about this thing you're doing.
Yes. So the Modern Mom Style Box was born this past fall in September, and it is a clothing rental subscription. So members sign up for the monthly service, and they receive 3 articles of clothing per box that they can keep for as short or as long as they'd like. And they exchange it and receive a new box. And so I'm a member. I'm actually, I don't know if you could see, but I'm wearing an Ann Taylor sweater dress that I got in my newest box. And
Nice.
my first month, I received 5 boxes of clothing in 1 month because I was so diligent about like, oh, I want to try everything. I want to try everything. So we have amazing brands. We have Ann Taylor, Loft, French Connection, Express, Banana Republic, a lot of favorites. I said Express, yeah, a lot of favorites that you would find at the mall, and
So fun. I love
it's
it.
it's exciting. I think it's
Yeah.
great. So for the members who are currently signed up, they love it because for working moms, especially who work in an office, it makes it so much easier. I used to work in an office when I was at Nickelodeon. I used to have like 5 blouses and 5 slacks, and you were constantly trying to like pair up that blouse with that slack and that cardigan, and like it constantly just like a rotation of just kind of going through those same clothing, right? So at least now we're able to offer blouses that you wear once. And so people in your office will be like, gosh, I've never seen you in the same outfit twice. Cause like really in theory, you don't ever have to wear the same outfit twice.
So Tara, you're going to crack up. My sister used to make me write down everything I wore so I would never repeat an outfit. I kid you not. And like at the end of the year, people are like, gosh, you have so many clothes. And I'd be like, oh. And I'm thinking to myself, not really, but she was like, so she would make me write it down and she'd be like, you have to double check. It was so funny. So I understand the stress of that, but how fun. And I was in the fashion industry for about 10 years. Well, no, maybe longer, 15. And it is so much more fun to have like a refresh in your wardrobe than to try to make what you have work. And then, of course, shopping can be extremely time consuming. I don't know about you, but I don't really have time, desire. And now it's become more of a hassle than anything to go shopping, honestly. You guys might be like rolling your eyes. Maybe you love to shop, but I'm not one of those people.
No, not anymore. I used to love to. It was sort of like a hobby. You'd get dressed up and you go to the mall and you'd look at the different stores. And it just like doesn't have that same allure to me as it used to. I love getting new clothes.
Me
and
too.
I love getting new clothes shipped to my house. And I get excited when I have a new box. And like I said, I'm wearing my new Ann Taylor sweater dress right now. And it's adorable. It's like, I don't know what color you would call it. It's like bright yellow almost. But moms like to get new things in the mail. They like to try new clothes. And especially in during the pandemic, many people's sizes changed. They may have gone from a 4 to a
20,
6.
25 pounds. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so maybe someone doesn't want to commit to buying a new pair of jeans,
right?
But they could rent their jeans until they're either A, comfortable with that size, or B, they want to go back to the size that they had been previously, or they're sort of in between. And we also offer maternity clothes. So mothers can rent their maternity wardrobe right from, I think for me, I probably started showing maybe like 4 or 5 months. So like from 5 months on and then postpartum. And so then they don't have to be committed to owning clothes that they only wear once or twice.
I love it. Where can they find out more information about this?
Sure. They can go to www.modernmomstylebox.com.
Nice. I love it. So just curious, when you're feeling really low on energy, after a long day, you're running your business, your wife, you've got lots going on. Like, what is your practice? What do you go to get restored?
I put away my phone because I feel like technology just sucks my energy right out. So I need to put my phone aside and go for a walk, be in nature, breathe in the sights and sounds and everything. Just be out there, look at something green, look at the blue sky or even the snow. If it happens to snow, I just need to just be out there and feel it all. And that resets me.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. A lot of moms really need permission. Yes. And sometimes like, well, this is not enough. And actually it is. And hearing your story is so inspirational. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.